Should I cancel my wedding? Day after tomorrow. I am engaged for 2 years with my fiancée. We have been together for nearly 10 years now. We have always had a nice relationship, but his family is very sexist even though he doesn't seem to be. I have established career and am more literate, and financially more stable. My family has money, and his is always struggling. It has never been a problem. My parents have always helped in any way they can. A couple years ago one man, who was friends with his dad, let's call him Jim, came up to me and said horrible things about my father, who is a public figure. They were all lies. I didn't care too much, but told my Phil and limited my contact with Jim after that. Our wedding is going to be a very big and fancy party. During our wedding planning I said multiple times I wouldn't be inviting Jim. Jim wasn't in the guest list. Jim didn't get an invite with the name written by the calligrapher I hired, I am sure about that. He can't talk bad about my dad and afterwards come to the big wedding reception he is paying. Right? 10 days ago we had an argument and ended up discussing about Jim for the 347,447 time. He said he would invite Jim. I said that if he did it, I wouldn't go forward with the wedding. Our wedding is in 26 days, but the courthouse wedding is in 2 days. I found out accidentally today that they invited Jim and his wife. It is not even about Jim and what he said anymore, but about the betrayal from my fiancé and his parents who invited him despite me asking them not to, telling them the reasons I didn't want him there and they acting behind my back. I feel disrespected and betrayed. I should mention that my parents bought us a penthouse, redid it to our taste and are paying for the whole wedding. The party is for 300 people, and most are his guests because he has such a big family. Am I the villain for telling them I won't get married if they invite Jim? Should I go forward with the wedding? I am absolutely devastated and I don't know what to do. Help. You set a boundary, and you told your fiancé the consequences of not respecting that boundary. He ignored the boundary and deliberately disrespected your wishes, and he did so despite the fact that neither he nor his family are paying for this wedding. That is utterly beyond the pale. I think you give him one chance to uninvite Jim, and tell him that either he respects your wishes or the wedding is off. Follow through on what you told him you'd do if he did this. If you cave, that sets the tone for your entire marriage. I don't think you want that. Don't set a boundary if you don't plan on following through when it's crossed. If he will do this, who knows what else he'll do. It's unfortunate cause I'm sure a lot of money was already spent. If you're thinking about breaking up before you're even married, then now is the time to do it. Not trying to be a smartass here, but obviously you aren't really looking to promise the rest of your life into the union, or you wouldn't be asking in the first place. Dude broke a boundary you set. You said you feel betrayed. Do as you said and do not proceed. Otherwise you will be a doormat the rest of your marriage. You set a boundary. It was broke. Now do what you said you would, and do not proceed to marry. I hope you can figure this out. Don't worry about anyone but you. You are right to cancel things. You set a line and he crossed it and didn't even have the respect to tell you. This is the type of person he is. If you don't, his whole family is going to run your life forever. I would personally call Jim and inform him that he is not invited to the wedding, and that whoever invited him did that without your permission. Lastly, I would tell him that if he shows up at the venue he will forcibly be escorted out. Find out exactly who invited Jim. If it was your fiancé, tell him it's off. If it was his parents, tell him they're uninvited, permanently to anything in the future. You don't want to hear their names again. If that's a deal breaker for him, it's off. Also, make sure you have a prenup in place. Don't go through with this wedding unless you have an ironclad prenup. This man simply does not respect your wishes. This will only continue to get worse. Have you told your fiancé how you feel about the betrayal? How did he respond? It sounds like the problems are with his family and not him. If he's willing to prove that he can set the boundaries, I don't think you should throw it all away. If not, he made his choice. Honestly, this just shows he has a weak character and can't stand up for himself or you. I wouldn't want to be married to someone like that. Update me. Call it off. A divorce will cost you a lot more, and if you have children, you in-laws will always be in your life. You told him if he invited Jim you were calling it off, so don't show up. Watch his reaction. Bet you see a side of him you don't recognize. Your parents have spent huge amounts of money on the two of you, and he still doesn't get more respect than a family friend? Remind me 30 days. I would cancel. But since you are unsure, talk it over with your dad. To me, the behavior of your future spouse and in-laws is sending up red flags everywhere. If you decide to get married, get a prenup. You are going to remember this moment for the rest of your life. Is the biggest decision. You already know that you shouldn't go through with it, so why are you looking for validation from other people? I'm guessing because of the money you spent and because of the supposed embarrassment of cancelling the wedding, so close to the day. But for heaven's sake, don't go through with this wedding. You know in your heart that it isn't the right thing to do. I wish you the best of luck, but this man and his family and friends are not for you. Growing heart. I'd cancel. This is betrayal on too big a scale and too calculated to let go. This situation is a looking glass into the future. Your partner will always put his parents before you. He betrayed you and disrespected a very fair boundary, and he will keep doing it. He's showing you what kind of husband he will be, and you don't deserve to be treated that way. Personally, I would absolutely cancel the marriage. Only you can decide, but if Jim is what breaks this wedding, I don't think the relationship was that solid to begin with. Triangular flag on post, triangular flag on post, triangular flag on post, triangular flag on post. That's a tough spot. In the end, it's your wedding. I won't sit down with your maybe soon-to-be husband and find out who and why they involved him. Work that part out first. Ask them to uninvite them, and if they don't, uninvite them yourself. It's your wedding, not your in-laws. I think you've grown in these 10 years, and if this incident is a glimpse into a possible future for you, I think you already have the answer you need. Personally, I wouldn't ever marry. Stay as a couple. Do couple. Second you marry, I suspect his family will suddenly become more involved, and a divorce later will cost the earth by comparison to cancelling the wedding. It's much better to end it now than after a wedding he is disrespectful towards you. Your life partner is supposed to be on your side no matter what. Be thankful you found out now and not after you have kids and are stuck with him on the fringes of your life forever. Why marry someone who does not have your back or respects your wishes? Wishes that, emo, isn't too much. This is the biggest red flag I've ever heard. GTFO. Your fiancé not only crossed your boundaries, but invited his family and friends to intentionally dismiss your boundaries with him. Whatever you thought your relationship was, he just set the tone for your entire marriage. Unless that's the life that you want, you really need to cancel the wedding and walk away. I have no doubt it will be difficult to leave, but so would being married into a spouse and family who have no concern or respect for you. To be honest, his parents raised him, so if they are sexist, it has seeped into his subconscious as well. If you plan on having kids with him, he will likely have different expectations of your role as a mother. Things change when you are married and a mom. I'm not sure I'd go through with it. Much easier not to get married than to try and get divorced after children are in the picture. Tell your parents. Break it off. Your fiancé has no respect for you or for your parents, and you're already wasted 10 years. Don't waste more your life. I think the person you should be talking to about this is your fiancé. Explain how you feel about it and how it makes you feel about what he did. If he shows no remorse, then I say you have to follow your heart. Is one guest worth ruining a relationship over? Only you can decide that. Tell fiancé that his going behind your back and inviting Jim despite knowing how you feel has made you genuinely question whether you're making the right decision, and see how he responds. Make a decision from there.